All right, all right.
Okay. Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
So given the body of work and how long I've been doing it for, this the Terrence Crawford era since Floyd Mayweather retired and him and Andre Ward.
Hell, if you want to really break this down in chronological order, it was the Ali era, then it was the Sugar Ray Leonard era, then it was the Pernell Whitaker era, then the Roy Jones Jr. era, then James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, Shane Mosley, Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, and now Terrence Crawford. And can't forget Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, and Sugar Ray Robinson. All of these fighters completely own their era. So with that being said, ESPN Deportes Mexican analyst and Canelo Alvarez's biggest fan, Bernardo Usana, he came out and surprisingly picked the much smaller Terrence Crawford to beat Goliath Canelo Alvarez. I'm telling you guys right now, when you hear things like this from Bernardo Usana, that means the race fans are completely shook when it comes to this fight. Bernardo is one of the typical Mexican race fans that is extremely loyal to Canelo Alvarez. So he did this interview with KO Artist, which is a Mexican reporter, and this is what he had to say about that fight.
Just specifically Canelo, he broke the record, right, for least punches landed in a 12-round fight, which was kind of rough because Haney was almost like, I think, number 3 the day before,
Now, hold on. I want you guys to start paying attention to what these old media interviewers say when they do these interviews. Did you notice how this guy, he tried to diss Devin Haney, even though he had to admit that it was Canelo that landed the least punches in a 12-round fight? He said Devin Haney is 3rd on the list. Why did he even bring up Devin Haney? And how come he didn't bring up Ryan Garcia's name or Rolly Romero's name? I'm telling you guys, these old media members, they're used to doing things like this, throwing black boxers under the bus because they usually fly under the radar and people don't usually pay attention to what they say. But it's time for us all to start paying attention because these are the people that are pushing propaganda and trying their best to mislead the public. Like I said, it made absolutely no sense for this guy to bring up Devin Haney's name when the whole conversation was about Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. And once again, it's Canelo Alvarez that is number 1 on the list when it comes to the least punches landed in 12 rounds.
But does that change your opinion at all going into the Terrence Crawford Canelo fight?
It does, just because, look, if we look at that version of Canelo, he doesn't beat Terrence Crawford. But then again, we look at the version of Crawford against Mandravov. It wasn't spectacular either. But look, if I'm being honest, Canelo had no legs. Canelo was not throwing punches. There was no pop there. And he had an opponent in Skull who didn't want to fight. Now, if Skull maybe gives you 15-20% more offense, he could have won that fight. It wouldn't have taken much from Skull to win against that version of Canelo. Now, I've been to Saudi Arabia. It's a rough trip. Canelo was there for 3 weeks, but it's a whole different animal. So if Canelo didn't want to make the excuses in the ring, I'm sure somewhere down the line we're going to hear it was the fact that he's fighting at 6 in the morning. You're getting up at, 1 o'clock maybe to go to the arena. I've called the Naoya Inoue fights, and it does mess up your rhythm. So, when I do him from LA, when he's in Japan, you're talking about maybe checking in the hotel around 7, grabbing something to eat, taking a nap. You wake up at 11:30 for a 12:15 crew call, and you're calling the fights, and you finish, and you're done. And that's the time that Canelo is barely going to start. I'm not making excuses for him.
Why do some people do this? This man just spent 1 minute to 2 minutes making excuses, every excuse in the book for Canelo Alvarez against someone he was supposed to beat easy, a heavy underdog. He makes all these excuses, then he finishes it off by saying, I'm not making excuses for Canelo Alvarez, etc., etc., etc. What does it you Mexican fans say in my comment section? I hear some of you guys say, I don't want to hear no excuses if Canelo beats Terrence Crawford. But the irony is amazing to me because you guys are the same fans that made excuses for the much bigger Canelo Alvarez when he lost to the smaller, older Floyd Mayweather. Now he's age 34, fighting against a smaller, older Terrence Crawford. But then you have Bernardo Usana contradicting what the other Mexican fans say by making excuses for Canelo Alvarez almost losing to a heavy underdog, William Scope. Man, y'all gotta make this make sense.
He looked horrible, and now maybe we have a reason to look forward to the fight against Terence Crawford, because you always say, or the old adage in boxing says, a good big man beats a great smaller man. That was not a good big man, though. That is the one thing that, Canelo will have to look in the mirror, how he's going to prepare, how his body feels, are his legs there, are his reflexes there? Because Terence is no joke. He's not to be played with, because Terence, he's strong. That's what people don't realize. His wrestling background, Terence Crawford, I've seen him, go toe-to-toe with Andre Ward in our offices, and that dude is strong. So don't underestimate Terence, but also don't overlook how he performed against Madrimov.
Okay, so Bernardo, he's trying to be slick. He's trying to play it safe. He's trying to say, listen, guys, if Terence Crawford wins this fight, which I believe he will, the excuse is going to be that Canelo Alvarez is not the same version of himself. He's not the same Canelo he was before. He doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the same legs. He's just not the same version. And we've heard some fans say this at different times, at different points of Canelo Alvarez's career. After Canelo fought John Ryder, there were some fans trying to defend Canelo because that fight was very competitive, saying that Canelo is not the same fighter. But my question is, when was Canelo Alvarez at his best? Was he at his best when he fought Bivol? Was he at his best when he fought Floyd Mayweather? Lara? Amir Khan? Billy Joe Saunders? James Kirkland? Abney Yildirim? When was Canelo Alvarez at his best if you're saying he's not his best right now at age 34? Keep in mind, Floyd Mayweather completely dominated Canelo Alvarez at age 36, which he was closer to 37. Now, don't get me wrong, Canelo Alvarez, he is a good fighter. But let's be realistic. When he fought Billy Joe Saunders, even though he knocked out BJ, he was losing that fight, even by DAZN standards. And we know how biased DAZN is. When he knocked out Amir Khan, he was losing that fight. I actually watched that fight a couple months back, and they actually had Golden Boy commentators calling the fight, had Doug Fisher calling the fight, and even Doug Fisher had Canelo Alvarez losing the fight. So please tell us, when was Canelo Alvarez at his best? Matter of fact, let's listen to what Canelo Alvarez said in his very last press conference for the William Scope fight, where Canelo, he was reminded how he struggled against the last Cuban fighter, Erislandy Lara, and how this fight will be any different. This is how Canelo responded.
I expect the same. At the beginning, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm different Canelo now, and he's going to feel it Saturday. Believe me.
You heard what he said. He's a different Canelo Alvarez right now, so he's supposed to look better against Scope than he did against Lara. Let me just make this very clear. Canelo has always been a flaw fighter, and he will always have the same flaws. He's always been slow on his feet. He's always been susceptible to a good jab. He has never had a great defense. Why do you think Canelo spars with the face guard? That's the kind of guard that you spar with when you get hit too much, when you are trying to prevent getting your nose broke. Bivol doesn't spar with that headgear. Shakur, Gervonta, Floyd Mayweather, Terence Crawford, none of them spar with that headgear. They spar with the regular open headgear because they have confidence in their defense. And Canelo has been using this protective headgear for years. So at the end of the day, the reality is Terence Crawford, he is moving up 2 weight classes to fight against Goliath Canelo Alvarez. And Mexican fans who sit here saying, oh, I don't want to hear no excuses, you should be ashamed of yourself because you guys were the main ones, once again, making excuses when Mikey Garcia moved up to fight against Errol Spence, when Juan Manuel Marquez moved up to fight against Floyd Mayweather. And that was the same Marquez that knocked out Manny Pacquiao. In fact, I remember leading up to that fight, the night of the Pacquiao versus Marquez fight, I remember they were interviewing Pacquiao in his dressing room, and they asked him why he was going to win this fight. He said, well, the difference this time is I'm the bigger guy. That's what Manny Pacquiao said. He said the difference is I'm the bigger guy, and he still ended up losing to Juan Manuel Marquez, the same Marquez that Floyd Mayweather played around with, and we know no matter how many times they fight, Floyd Mayweather would beat him every single time in every single round. And we know that there is no version of Canelo Alvarez that would beat Bivol or Floyd Mayweather, which is why he never avenged any of his losses on his record. Now, once again, when it comes to Terence Crawford, in terms of Canelo training, I know he's going to train like he's fighting against Floyd Mayweather, which is going to make him extremely dangerous with the natural size and power that he already has. I know that Canelo Alvarez, he is going to be banking on catching Crawford in the middle of exchanges. That's really his only chance in this fight, a puncher's chance. And if that doesn't work, he's going to most likely get dominated by Terence Crawford. With that being said, I'm going to wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.